This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everyone. This is Novo Mana, and welcome to another session of the Technology Review Council. And I am very, very pleased to have both Karen and Flavio presenting WyzeTalk. That's WYZETALK. And I will let them explain not only who they are, but why it's called WyzeTalk. I think you're going to be very energized by what you've seen on this presentation. I'm pretty jazzed about what they're talking about. So, Karen, would you kind of just go ahead and start?
Yes, thanks for that opportunity and that introduction. We're very excited to introduce WyzeTalk to you. We started as a collaboration platform 10 years ago in South Africa. We've since grown to a global business operating with headquarters both in South Africa and in the Netherlands, with companies worldwide. And we've really found a niche with helping businesses that employ large workforces better connect and engage with their people. We have a great partner down in South America, managing our North America partnership as well, Flavio. Flavio is going to lead the presentation today. I have been with WyzeTalk since we started, it's been a wonderful journey of watching how technology has really assisted employees, but also, expanding the benefits to the communities within which these employees exist. Flavio, over to you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, No, for the invitation and for opening the space for us to present WyzeTalk. I'm Flavio Lavalle, CEO of Magnolia Solutions. I am, like Karen said, business partner for WyzeTalk in the North America and Latin America. So let's go to the presentation, and probably there are going to be some good questions at the end, or if you want to ask any questions while we're doing the presentation, that also works for us. So Karen already started telling a little bit what WyzeTalk solution is about. WyzeTalk started in 2014, and it's a communication and integration platform focused on large organizations and to help specifically those organizations to engage with their frontline employees or blue-collar employees through a platform that basically connects the back end of the company and connects the employees with a mobile solution. So let us go through a presentation, and we're going to be solving probably a lot of ideas that are coming already into your mind. So now, can you help me, please? Go ahead. So
yes,
we already talked about what WyzeTalk is about, and there was a slide where we talk a little bit of what's about. Next, please. So where's the problem that WyzeTalk identified many years ago is that basically frontline employees or blue-collar employees in different kind of industries, they have basically the same problem. And the human resources and communication areas, they have basically the same things. And those start with, number one, all blue-collar or mainly blue-collar or frontline employees, they do not have a corporate email, so it's very difficult to reach them with real-time communication. And according to Gallup, that's around 75% of the industries where we are basically focusing, that are mining, oil and gas, manufacturing, energy, construction, and retail, and any kind of service company that have a lot of people, 80% of their employees as non-desk workers. And the other thing that Gallup found is that considering those employees, there's a disengage of 87%. 87% of employees are not basically engaged because they don't feel that are part of the company. They go just to work and to receive their payslip at the end of the month. But since they are not communicated, they're not integrated to the company, there's a lot of opportunities that basically the company is missing. No? Can you go to the next one, please? And improving the engagement basically improves a lot of different things. In the previous one, please, no, that one. Improves a lot of different areas in the company, probably much more than the ones that we can see here. No? It basically can reduce the absenteeism, can reduce the staff turnover, can improve the customer relationship, can improve the productivity, you know, can reduce safety incidents in an indirect way using WyzeTalk, because basically it opens a lot of the communication, and can increase the profitability of the company. There's a lot of different variables that basically can be reduced or improved with a workforce that is connected and is engaged to the company, depending on the kind of industry that the company is basically participating.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, please. So if we think a little bit of a typical day of a frontline employee that goes to work, goes to a facility, to a site to work, basically he's waking up very early in the morning. They're commuting to the manufacturing site or their facility or place of work, and then working the whole day, and then coming back to their houses. So it's a very tired day. It's very difficult to get connected with them, and very difficult to use a non-technological um, uh, tool to engage them. The typical thing is that just when they go inside a site and they have a board, you know, with information that probably they just don't read or read very fast. So there's an opportunity to engage, to help the company engage with their frontline employees using a mobile solution, considering that he is basically again moving the whole day since he leaves his house until he goes back probably very late at his house. No.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do? Next slide, please. What we do is that what Kerry mentioned. We help organizations to better engage with their frontline employees. WyzeTalk, they have expertise in different kind of industries. Karen, for example, she's an expert beside the marketing manager position they have. She's an expert in the mining industry. So we have experts in different kind of industries, and we basically identify what are the pains of the customer, or the pains that the customer need to solve, because technology basically helps the company um, achieve a plan or strategy, no, and the technology basically help them follow that strategy. So we need to identify what are the problems, their pains, how they want to solve them, and then we help them do that the whole during the whole implementation, and follow that implementation to understand and to make sure that those pains are basically solved. So this is basically done in 3 steps. That it's what is shown in the next slide.
Okay. Do you mind that I'll ask a very quick question, Flavio? So what I'm
Sure.
hearing you say is that really through the digital perspective of the device, if you will, a phone or tablet or whatever, you are connecting many of the dissociated employees that are in the field.
Yes.
If I'm not sitting on my phone, but at a desk, does your application work on a laptop? Is it just a browser based? Let me go bring that up, or is it an app?
Uh, WyzeTalk is basically focused on a mobile solution. So what we do is we connect, no, all the employees through their phones, non-desk or desk employees. With the solution basically connects the employee with an app that is white label and is developed with the look and feel of the company. But the main purpose is that it's all the time with the employee wherever he is. No?
Yeah, the reason I asked, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hi, it's Michelle. I'm wondering, do your clients experience any adoption risks for those employees that don't want to have a work app on their personal device? Because I'm assuming that if if they're not connected into work through email and whatnot, they likely don't have a work device either. So is there any pushback there?
So Michelle, I'll pick that one up. What
Okay.
we like to do is work on the strategy with the client. So there are definitely those conversations that happen. What we aim to do through our strategic team is to understand what is in it for the employee and what is in it for the employer, and design the app with that in mind. There are also, we've been able to get quite creative in terms of incentivizing employees to connect to using their personal devices. We certainly encourage companies to comply with the global laws around privacy and kind of non-disturbance. But we so far have not had it become such a risk that employees have not adopted the solution on a large scale.
Thank you. I'm really curious what you mean by incentivize, but maybe that's something we can talk about after, if there's time after, because I don't think it's important now. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll drive towards that one, Michelle. Thank you. Let me change up over the slide here, and I don't know, the PDF is causing me a little bit of heartache,
Okay.
but that's okay. Okay, here we go.
So basically, the strategy to help companies better engage with employees is divided into three. First one, we make sure we can connect with employees, and at the first stage of the implementation, we work with the company to develop the look and feel, besides of the old architecture in the back end, and basically focusing on what the employee is going to be looking at. We develop the app with the look and feel of the company. We actually give the application a name that comes from a focus group from the company. So the employees feel that that application is they've been part of the development of that application. That's one of the variables that we use in order to motivate everybody to connect and use their personal phones, probably to be using the application and start engaging with the company. So first thing is we focus in connecting all the employees. So after we connect all the employees, we start communicating with them and receiving feedback with them, understanding, considering all the modules that we're going to be reviewing in the next slides, the ones that the company have chosen to implement. We start communicating with employee and start receiving their feedback, and start identifying where are those specific points where we can generate a better engagement. And then the company with good communication and target communication start getting that engagement with employees. So basically divided into three. First, we connect them. So we don't send everything at the same time. We connect them or implement everything at the same time. We connect with them, then start communicating with them step by step. Modules are implemented in not all the time at the same time. They implemented in different with a strategy and different moments, so we can start receiving some feedback from the employees, and then the company start making or targeting communication to better engage with them. Okay.
Great.
Next slide, please. No.
Uh-huh.
So in the ecosystem, basically what we have is three things: the phone, the phones, the smartphones from the employees. We have a picture there from a feature phone because when WyzeTalk started, the penetration of smartphones was not that big. There are still some countries, in some countries that use feature phones, but in North America and Latin America, the penetrations of smartphones is nearly 100%. Then we have the platform that is on the cloud in Microsoft Azure, and everything moves in the cloud. And then we have the analytics that's from the back end of the company, where you can actually see all the interaction between the employees and the company, and you can monitor how effective have been the communication between both of them.
Okay.
Next slide, please. So as a SaaS solution in the back end, we basically connect with all ERPs, Oracle, SAP, Chronos, Dynamics, and not only ERPs, but specifically talking about human resources models, we can connect with different kind of human resources models also that the company is using. So if they have an IP address, we can connect, get all the information that we want to send to the employees, and open that bidirectional channel that if there's information that has to go back to the company, we can do exactly the same. So that's basic in a single slide, but this architecture can be a little bit more complex regarding the amount of facilities on core or countries that the company has. But basically what we do, we connect with the ERP system and we send information to the employee.
Can I ask another very quick question, Flavio? So would you describe WyzeTalk as also a portal? In other words, I can get, from what you're showing, I can get to a lot of my company applications through this connection. So could I use this as kind of like, this is where I need to start my day, so to speak, through WyzeTalk?
Yeah, yes, indeed, because you can start your day logging into the application, and you're going to see all the information and the new information that is related to your role, and that's something that I wanted to mention in the next slide, because
Yep.
one of the important things is that all the information and the communication that goes through the platform to the employee is completely segmented. So if, for example, I'm working in California, in Los Angeles, in a facility of a manufacturing facility, and the company have 5 different sites, I'm going to be receiving only the information that is related to me. So that's another way to motivate the employee to be connected, because he knows that whatever he's going to be looking at in the application is going to be related to his role in the organization. Okay, so he's probably going to be receiving information for headquarters, or he's going to be receiving information from his business unit, and probably he's going to be receiving information from his area. No,
Gotcha.
okay, so that's a different way, and also with a personalized application. So I'm going to be getting inside the application that I was part of, that what that is named by the company. It's not a application that I'm not identified with, and I'm going to be receiving the communication that is related to my role, related to my ecosystem. So in the headquarters or in the business unit, they basically decide what kind of information or communication they want to ask to the employee, or they want to send to the employee. So and since this is segmented, all the modules that we're going to be reviewing in the next slides, we can try to figure out what kind of information a person that works in logistics, or in sales, or in operations, or in a mine can receive, no, considering their role, no.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like what you're saying is that I can put all the tags I need to, in a sense, by continuing to wide label all the things that somebody's going to see, that they're familiar terms that the
Yes.
company uses rather than what you've decided. So that's
Yes.
very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
exactly. So,
Okay.
so answering your question, if I start my day, I log in, and the new feeds that I'm going to be looking at are basically all the ones that I'm going to be interested in reading, no? Like general communication, newspaper of the company. If there's an alert, emergency alert regarding my facility where I'm working, or basically the information that is related to my ecosystem, no?
Mm-hmm. And security, I'm curious, are you driven by a security setup that you're putting in your app, so that what I can see, not only what I'm going to be sent to me personally, probably goes through a kind of a screen, but am I able to see anything that I shouldn't see, let's say? Is there a security framework, or is that driven from something else in the
Yeah, there
company?
are two. Let me ask Karen answer the security system about the integration between WyzeTalk and the company. But let me answer you first one thing. If I'm the user, I'm the employee, and I'm getting inside, for example, the module micro learning, or I'm getting inside a module of human resources that is information very sensitive and it's specific information that I want to see and nobody else. There's a double security. So I log in with a security code, and then I have to put a second verification code to get to those specific modules. Okay,
Gotcha.
so not
Okay.
so not everybody can see that. No?
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we start off with importing the HR records with the range of attributes based on that employee's profile. And there would likely be an employee number and a date of birth, and they would need to go use that information as part of the registration process. We authenticate them against the information that we have from the business. It's a real-time integration, so we're able to manage joiners and leavers. And then what Flavia was referring to is that elevated or auth process. So if we are going to be presenting employees with private information like a payslip or leave application process or some other HR processes, we're able to then we have a number of different options. There's obviously an SSO option too for the more sophisticated organizations. Otherwise, it just works on the basis of a PAC number that an employee would receive, and they would be able to enter that and set their own PIN. And then going forward, we wouldn't have access to that information. If they forgot their PIN, they would be able to reset it. But essentially, that's their way of keeping their own information private to themselves. We organize all of the content and the messaging on the platform largely based on the HR data that we're importing, but through that different applications of the use cases, which Flavia will talk to a little bit later, we are able then to inherit certain segments that we will use for ongoing campaigns and profiling within the business.
Gotcha. And you've got both questions from both Bobby and Michelle. So Bobby asked earlier, I guess, who gets to figure out all of that security complexity between your app and what's built in there, and then also anything that's being inherited from other systems? Is that a security administrator? Is that something you work with them? Is it something that needs to be continued to be administered as new employees come in? I'm kind of curious to that. And let me ask the other question that Michelle had, because they are very related. Is it safe to say that a user experience platform creating a one-stop shop for those that don't otherwise have access to email? I think the answer to that question is yes. This is a place where people could log in even if they don't have a corporate email, which is I think that we find very quickly sometimes that it's not even just those that are the workers, but sometimes you want contractors to have access to certain things.
Yeah, for sure.
And so through the security, you can do that, and you don't have to give them a corporate ID that then allows them to get anywhere else they may need to not be. And so that, I think it's a very good and perhaps a nice nuance to how you're doing this. But Michelle's other question was also, does the company administrator access the application through mobile or through the desktop? So we'll go back to Bobby's general question: who administers this, and how long? Is that a lengthy process that goes on and on and on every time somebody gets added? And also to Michelle's point, how does the administrator get to your app?
So when we sign up with a client, there is an onboarding process that we go through. There are a series of 5 workshops, and the one is solely focused around the architecture of the platform, the security, and then the HR data. And so our teams will work with your clients' compliance teams and their security teams. In terms of our security levels, they're quite stringent. We have a range of global companies on our platform, including banks. And so we've had to comply with some pretty stringent architecture frameworks, security frameworks. But in terms of the data, it is a real-time integration and an ongoing integration. And we prefer that because, as people join the business, as people leave the business, they need instant access. And so if that process is automated between ourselves and your HR system, it makes it much easier for everyone. And certainly that is our approach with any integration. So we prefer real-time integrations. We want to pull the information as an employee is requesting it. information that is not going to be sitting on our systems. They're going to be sitting on your enterprise systems. And that information, as I said, will only be called for when the employee actually requests it. And that normally pleases the security and compliance teams, because it means that we're obviously limiting what is going into your systems, and certainly data that is your data that should stay within your frameworks, not be hosted on outside services.
Yeah, and that kind of answers a general question that says, are you opening up access, or are you actually transporting data to my mobile device?
So both, but it's both because it really depends on the kind of system that we need to be integrating with. Certainly in our experience, not all businesses have enterprise systems where we can really just facilitate access for employees. In some cases, we need to facilitate the data transfer, but it's certainly not our preferred way of doing it.
Right. No, and I think you've certainly accounted for what I call the real world, i.e. not everybody's. I've got an on-premise old system that we built. Yeah. Do you think it had any interfaces, let alone APIs? Probably not. Okay, perfect. Would you like me to move to the next slide? I have to say that this slide alone, Flavio, did introduce some interesting questions, so thank you.
Yes, because it's interesting enough, because you can segment all the information that goes through organizations with 5,000 employees, 10,000, 80,000 employees. So that's one of the reasons why some tools don't help to engage employees, because you just log in and you see a lot of information that it's basically is not related to you. So you don't have time to start looking at the information that's happening thousands of kilometers away from you. You want to see something that is related to your role, and that can help you do your better your job, and you can grow inside the organization. And how can you connect better with the organization? That is engagement.
Now, I did remember from your previous slide where you talked about safety, and it strikes me that these days with emergency services, disaster preparedness, etc., communicating with the employees, whether they're part of an emergency service team or they just need to know, hey guys, we've had a major disaster. Don't go near the let us know how you're doing, whatever. I mean, again, you're creating a network of continuation of connection to your employees, which I think is, depending upon the situation, not a bad thing. It's kind of it's universal in its usage. Well, let me move to the next slide as you asked. Let me do so. Oops, I went the wrong way. Sorry about that. Wow, it just took a major jump on me. My apologies there. Okay, so here's I'm at the right slide. Yes, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. So why is WyzeTalk different, and what basically what we do is we have the ability to reach all workers globally, where we just need their phone number and we can connect with them. We basically do very fast deployments between 8 or 12 weeks. Again, depends on the amount of time that a customer invests in the implementation, but if they are fully committed to do implementation should be done between 8 or 12 weeks. And we already talk about security. We have different, especially advisors regarding industry, so we understand what are those pain points that those industries want to solve. We are white label, so all the application is completely branded with the name and the look and feel of the company, and at the end we have a single dashboard with analytics that the company can monitor different things and can monitor all the modules that we're going to be speaking in the next minutes.
Okay, and I'm going to say this now. I can continue the meeting. I know that maybe Michelle and Bobby won't be able to stay, but we will continue with the recording, so don't worry too much about the time.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Sure.
So this is a little bit of our portfolio in different industries. one of the largest companies that is using WyzeTalk globally is Anglo American with 120,000 users globally, 38 countries. So that was a very complex implementation. And we have different companies in the mining industry, but also we have some companies in the retail industry, in oil and gas, in the hospitality business, in shipping, in manufacturing. So all of our examples are companies that have between 70 or 80% of employees are blue collar or frontline.
Mm.
Okay.
I'm just kind of curious, in the retail world, where we still have a number of people who have a brick and mortar setup in different cities, it just strikes me that they would want to see your product because, here's stuff for the local store that I'm at, but here's the company perspective of what we're doing today, a big sale on blah, 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 whatever. It strikes me that your retail world, even though it's a little bit shrinking these days on the brick and mortar world, it would be a fairly good market to go after.
Yes, specific, and all the industries are completely different, but the retail, the most important thing is communicating very fast with all the sales team, right?
Yeah.
Because retail moves, they have campaigns every single week or every month, and new products and new launches, so they have to be. It's very difficult to keep everybody completely trained and with all the communication at the same time, especially if you have a lot of different sales stores in a large territory. No?
I think you and I could talk offline a little bit. I've got a couple of ideas on that one real quickly.
Yes,
Okay,
that would be
let's
great.
go to the next slide here. Okay.
That's a little bit of the footprint. WyzeTalk has already around 1 million users globally. Some of the contracts have been signed in Europe and in Africa. And that's why there's global contract, sorry, in Europe and Africa. And that's why there's a footprint all over the place. And I'm basically managing, like Kevin said, the American territory.
Gotcha.
So starting, I think the next slide, we're going to be talking about the business cases, exactly.
Yep.
The use cases and the model.
Do you want me to just keep going to the next one?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure.
So let me start with the critical communication and news. So again, all the communication is segmented by the role of the employee. So the employee can receive communication from the headquarters, from his business unit, from his direct boss, if they have an administrative role. So they can receive different kinds of communication that the company wants to share with everybody. But one of the important things here is that he can receive also safety alerts. And after he receives a safety alert, that can be sent to everybody or to a specific group that works in a specific area of the business unit. After they read the safety alert and they are acknowledged that there's a safety alert, you are going to be able to see that in the analytics. So if you're targeting 70 people to receive that information, you're going to know if those 70 employees actually read the safety alert. So that's an additional thing in the critical communication and news. When you open the application, the first thing that you see is critical communication and news. Okay. Again, that can be changed regarding the requirements of the company, but those new information and critical communications are the first thing that the employee basically sees when he logs in the app.
So quick question.
Sure, please.
Yeah, thanks. When you say leadership messages, can a particular leader send something just specifically to their team? And if so, can they manage that, or do they have to work with the administrator to do that?
That depends on how. You want to answer that, Karen?
Yeah, so the answer is yes. They don't necessarily need to work through an administrator to use the CMS if they have access to the content management system and can upload the article or the piece and allow for comments themselves.
Thank you.
So we Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, so Karen, just a little extension, just for my clarification. It sounds like that very first step, the segmentation of the organization, the groups that I want from the company level all the way down to manager team levels and so on, is an important step because it then drives both my
Mhm.
communication with a group of people, what I can see, what I can send them, and how I can communicate with them. So I'm just ecstatic that you have your own consulting team with the company implementation, or the app implementation, because that makes way too much. You know what to start asking at the very front end of these projects. It sounds like it drives everything else.
Yeah, for sure.
Outstanding. Okay,
Okay.
Michelle, did we
Next,
answer
next,
the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Flavia.
next slide, please.
Oh, yes, please. That would be a good idea.
The same with newsletter. This is typical newsletter that the company share in the facilities in a board. So if you have a newsletter and you want to send them to employees, again, you can send information segmented. No? So we have a specific module for that. We have one for communication and one for newsletter, because newsletter have a specific space. No? So if the company have a newsletter, can use a model like this to send information to employees, again, the same way. Okay.
Great.
Next slide, please. Um, Employee wellness program. This is a module where the company basically gives information or recommendations to employees regarding health, regarding financing, regarding education, regarding family. And companies invest a lot of time to give advice to employees regarding different kind of topics. No, and this is again a module that can be used to the company to share information, with employees. Again, segmented information, because there's some information probably that I want to share in the United States, but you don't want to share in Mexico, or you want to share in Spain and you don't want to share in Germany. So, or you want to share in Florida, but you don't want to share in California or in
Mm-hmm.
Texas, because it doesn't make any sense to do that. So this is a model that the company can use to talk and to engage with employee regarding things that are not only business. Okay?
So how open is your system? Because what we've seen here at Technology Review Council are a number of what I call telemedicine type platforms, very much along the wellness programs and such, with the idea that maybe what you are opening up is my ability to get to that platform behind it that's got my doctors out there. I've got a mental health plan up there and so on. I mean, again, as a portal, you have a really nice extensibility without having to develop everything. So my question is, how well are you able to interact with other things? It looks like you can for other systems. Could you go to other apps?
I don't know if we have experience with integrating with a health system. No, Karen, I don't know if you can help me answering that.
So I think there are two things. The one is just in terms of accessing wellness systems. We have done that. We do that. It's very similar to some of the other integrations we do. If we're able to integrate with a system where we can pass that authenticator, that token over, then it makes it seamless for the user experience, and really that's what we want to focus on. We don't really do app to app. It is just complicated from a user experience, but we can certainly access information within another system that might also have an app associated with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And what we're seeing, the only reason I asked that question is this telemedicine platform, which ends up being a very, very accessible situation rather than you building another,
Yeah,
telemedicine platform. The ability to be
yeah,
the portal, but
yeah.
getting to that other information would be pretty key. So again, I'll take that as an offline question that we could talk a little bit. I think there's a lot. What I'd like to do is maybe introduce you to a couple of people that partnering would be a pretty good idea.
Okay, that would be
We're
great.
finding mental health, for
Yep.
example, as a thing where here in San Francisco, if I have to go see a clinician, a psychologist, psychiatrist, I could wait 6 months to make an appointment just because it's that crowded. But I could speak to a psychologist in Nebraska if I needed to, because through the telemedicine, they're licensed to administer mental health anywhere. And so it's to me, it really opens up. In fact, in all honesty, many companies are starting to really recognize they have to rethink their whole benefits program one more time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so this could be an interesting area for you. I'll make a note for myself to talk to you guys about that. Okay, next slide, right?
Great.
There
Thanks, Matthew.
I went the wrong one. You're not going to want me to do this often, I guarantee you. All right, here.
There's the model of human resources self-service where we can and the employee get inside this model with a double verification, the one I mentioned previously, and the employee can see his payslip, he can see his leave, day balance, and he actually apply for a leave application. He can see his benefits, he can see his records, he can see all any information that HR wants to share with employee. If you go to the next one, please. He
Before we
can.
leave that one, my
Okay.
question is germane to: are you doing the leave administration, or are you just linking into maybe a company's leave system?
No, we're linking it, and for example, we connect with success factors. Okay.
Okay,
So we link, we have a lot of experiences already with success factors. So we link with success factors and we send information to success factors, right? So
okay. So you've got a framework that can look at my leave balances and go through the process to request leave,
yeah,
but the
yeah,
process itself is supported in the back end. Okay,
yes.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Thanks.
And in the next slide, they also can see their schedule. Okay. And this has been very helpful, specifically with these 2 years with COVID, because everything has been changing very fast. So they can check their work schedule is the same or it's been changed. Okay.
Hmm.
If you go to the next one,
I hate to ask this question. My apologies. Do you connect with the time and labor system where I could put my time in through your process?
Yes,
no, we've done that
yes, we
before, Karen.
yeah, we do that.
Ah,
Yeah, so we
okay,
yeah, we definitely
Okay.
had that.
So I'm gonna tell you that in the field worker world, time and labor data entry is a nightmare. If I can't do it on
yeah,
a mobile device, I have to go back to the office or do it at home or whatever the case may be to fill out my timesheet to get paid. And it's usually late in the afternoon. To be able to do that on a mobile device, but not have to change for a device that says, okay, so I'm going to use WyzeTalk to do this as opposed to the other time and attendance system. You don't want to change all the back end stuff for payroll, but you, again, I come back to the idea that you really are a portal. You're bringing
yeah,
information to my device, and that is huge, very big, very, very big. So I'm just taking lots of notes. We're gonna have
yeah,
a nice conversation later. Sorry about that.
yeah.
But okay, here we go. Onboarding.
We can also help new employees with their onboarding plan. So in the onboarding module, basically what it says is what the company is expecting them to do the first day, the first week, the first month. How is his training? If he already have finished all the steps of the training, he can give feedback also. So at the end, who's going to be looking at this and monitoring? Probably his direct boss and human resources. So to understand if the new employee has been doing his onboarding or not. And one of the things that basically happen is that the business never stops, no, to wait for people to do the onboarding. So in my previous experience, you are basically trying to make the employee run to do their onboarding because they want to start with a position that's been hired for. No?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a way to make sure that the employee has a plan. He's doing his onboarding like the way it should be, and he can give feedback also on how is the onboarding in order to get a better process the next time somebody new comes to the company.
Do you do the other side of this, the offboarding, i.e. the termination?
I don't know if we've done offboarding before. I think that's probably something that is more a one-to-one meeting with human resources. I don't know, Karen, if we've done that with one of the companies that we already have installed WyzeTalk.
Yeah, so I mean, it is typically part of a much bigger process, but what we have done through our platform is facilitate exit interviews.
Perfect.
And that really helped the business where they were a bit concerned about whether, whether the feedback they were getting during that exit interview process was valid. And because we were able to offer that in a very, I guess, private setting, and we can ping employees to do it. We can set all sorts of rules about automating that and thanking them for their feedback. It really helped them in terms of their whole employee value proposition.
And what's interesting is that because you have their phone number, and it more than likely was not necessarily, it's their personal phone number for the most part, instead of maybe a company phone number, you can still catch them after they've left to get an exit survey, which is, we're finding that there's a drop off. If I have to do an exit survey after I've left, you'll never get it back. It's a very small percentage of return. So that's actually a very big plus that you get. Anyway,
Yeah, in the feedback module, we can prepare a form specifically for that, and so the employee can fill that before leaving the company. Remember, when the employee leaves the company and the HR records are updated, he's not going to be able to access the platform anymore.
Yeah, and as Karen had mentioned, to me, the exit survey is becoming to be one, especially in this quote unquote great resignation, whatever that might mean. Exit survey is telling us what it was that both voluntary and even in some cases like a retiree or something, you want to know what the experience was, not why you left necessarily, but what was it like while you were here. That's part of the other side of the exit survey that we're seeing a lot of. That, so you guys would be very instrumental in getting that stuff, no matter where they are. Okay, sorry about that. That little
Next, please.
my little bit of a sojourn off the journey. Okay.
Yeah, vacancies. Vacancies is very important also because you can, with large organizations, it's very difficult to identify who is interested in moving, horizontally or vertically in the organization, and who wants to grow in a different position. And that's one of the reasons that people leave the organization, because they don't see probably a growth path, on their careers. So identifying them when there are open positions, that if they have the skills or not to fulfill that position, is something that human resources can use to identify new talent, to identify new ways of improving those employees that are interested in moving, to improve those competences that they're missing or they need for those roles that they are interested in. So this is also a very interesting model to help engage with employees.
Do you push the person who's expressed an interest in a vacancy to an internal system or a recruiting system? Is that what's happening in the background? As I'm going through the normal process, I would fill out an application, all that kind of good stuff.
Yes, so we're pulling in for vacancy information, again, as is relevant to the employees, and then they can literally click a button to apply, and then that will get workflowed to whoever the HR person is that is reviewing those applications.
I would suspect that this has a little complexity in the sense that you've set up the organization in such a way that I'm communicating through channels that are already set up. But this particular situation is, maybe I am talking about a remote position, potentially. It's a possibility. I'm just thinking, so you're kind of breaking your patterns in the front end, but it sounds, do you set up your groups per module, if you will? Like the vacancy one would have a much more uniform perspective on how you're going to send out messages. You want to send it out to everybody. as opposed to just a couple people on a certain locales or something like that. Again, I'm looking not necessarily for the mining or things like that, but maybe more universally for the company to just say, hey, we have a position over here. Are you interested in getting there?
Yeah. So, I mean, the segmentation would be inclusive and exclusive. So, you know, we would be able to ping a message to everybody in the company if we wanted to,
Okay.
just around vacancies, which, I mean, we certainly encourage, I guess, that, you know, trends have changed. We all know that employees are able to work from anywhere these days. So you would want to do that. So, yeah, we have that ability.
Okay. I'm looking at, if the deck is correct, I'm at slide 21 of 39. How do you want to do this? Do you want to continue maybe a little faster clip and I'll stop asking
Yeah. Yes.
questions?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I can go faster. And because there are a lot of slides at the end that are basically customer referrals. So
Okay,
let me finish with the modules. We have probably four or five more slides.
perfect.
So
Okay.
let me continue with this again with regarding information that goes directly to a specific employee. There's a micro learning module where you can identify who has to do what learning, which learnings during the year. So I specifically have to log in with a double verification number again, because probably my learning plan is different than yours, and I have my training plan during the year or during the month or during the quarter, and I can see the information in a video. Videos are compressed between 2,500 and 5,000 times, so it's a very low data consumption. I can also read information and I can take the test. I cannot advance the video, so I have to see the whole video, and I do the test, and if I don't have the score that you want me to have, like 80% or 90% or 99% or 100% of the correct answers, I have to do the test again. So one of the good things here is that this is not going to replace like big and large learnings or trainings that the company gives, but it's a way that can help implement or can do a very fast training of campaigns of security things, so or any kind of information that the company wants to reach everybody at the same time.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that it can be monitored by their bosses and human resources.
And
So
you touched upon micro learning is absolutely the way. I want the information I need for now, what I need, and that's what I need, and that's it. I don't need to take a whole course. Beautiful.
exactly,
Very nicely.
exactly. So
Okay.
next module, it's employee recognition program. Some company has an employee recognition program. We can link those programs, and they have probably, employees can earn badges or points or a virtual wallet. We can do that. But also what we can do, we can help the organization recognize a team or a peer. Actually, somebody can suggest recognition of a peer or a team also, and this module just is to do that, no, to help the company reach everybody and tell everybody who he wants to recognize, no.
Do you find that leaderboards are accepted or not? And because you're a global organization, I'm curious if there's even a region or country difference about a leaderboard, competition versus non-competition.
It's interesting. In the retail sector, there is a really strong appetite. Maybe it's not that interesting for these leaderboards.
Oh
They,
yeah.
obviously encouraging competition between the different franchisees and the different stores really works for visualizing, I guess that.
That's great. No, that's like I say, it is a different thing in each industry. Go to the next slide then for you. Sorry about that. There we
Yes.
go.
Health and safety, this is very important, specifically if you have manufacturing facility. And there's where we show the KPIs of the facility regarding safety, no,
Perfect.
and health. But also you can see here the protocols, the contacts, the emergency protocols. The employee can ask for their safety equipment if they have to renew their safety equipment. No? So it's a specific model all around safety, and again segmented to the role and where the employee is. No? So if I'm working in Peru, I want to I'm going to be receiving probably the KPIs and all the health information regarding my facility.
You brought up a quick question. My apologies. You mentioned there's being a global organization. How do you deal with languages?
We can do many different languages. We can do
Beautiful.
Spanish, Portuguese, English. Uh, what else? Karen, what else? French? Have we done?
We're doing French. How language works with us is that you can choose to have a multi-language app, which we set up as part of that administration process. We don't offer inline translations, but you can have a multi-language app where you can input your content and your news articles in the different languages, so that when an employee goes through the registration process, they can select what language they would like to experience their app in. And from there on forward, where that information has been loaded for them in their language, it will be presented as such.
Right. And quite literally if you're in a global company, they've already addressed, hopefully, their enterprise systems to be multilingual as well. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly. The next slide is also related to information productivity dashboard, and this is the KPIs that the company wants to share with employees. You can share company KPIs, but also your personal KPIs. So it's a way of understanding the business, how it's going on, and your own metrics. Employee feedback channel. This is very wide, because beside the annual culture survey, we can create different kind of forms to ask different kind of people in the organization specific things, no? Like machinery inspection, like I don't know if ideation, if they want to, they think that there's an improvement regarding cost or regarding safety in the organization. Information regarding onboarding. I mean, this module it depends of what the company want to ask to all the employees or a specific group of employees. No?
Mhm. Yeah, the fact that you've got ideation and that sense that you've got people that could actually, I suspect if I had an administrative connection that I could say I'd like to set up a group like like a book club in my company. People who read
Mhm.
books and want to share ideas of. So you could, in a sense, you're creating a social platform across
Mhm.
any subject that the company would both allow. And many companies have, internal groups or small, bands of people that want to get together for different reasons and so on, and they allow that to happen. In fact, they encourage it. So your platform
Mhm.
allows it to happen, and because it is quote unquote universal, I don't have to be next door to the people to participate. I'm in the social media. So that's a very nice, that's a huge plus, I think, as well,
Yeah.
allowing that kind
But
of communities. That's what I was looking for, communities of interest to crop up.
yeah. But the thing with ideation also, Nov, is that you open a door that you have to answer back to your employees, because if you're asking your employees for innovation ideas to
Yep.
make the business better, they're going to be expecting some information about those ideas that employees are trying to are giving the company, or
Hmm.
at least feedback regarding the idea that I'm sharing with the company. No? So when you open that door and you're asking everybody, okay, give me ideas to reduce cost, or give me ideas to develop new products, or give me ideas to make the facility safer.
Hmm.
After you receive those ideas, what basically happens is if you implement one of them, you have to recognize them. So you're using the other model for recognition. but
Very
you
cool.
want you want to you need to give feedback to those employees that have invested their time, no, and their heads in order to share some of the ideas that they think that can have a good impact in the business.
So we've seen a couple of survey systems, well, maybe not ideation per se, but something that says, "Hey, I have a suggestion," and they allowed sourcing. In other words, push my idea to the top of the list because everybody likes it, or people push it down at the bottom because others have taken a priority over my idea, or they add to my idea that makes it even a richer idea. Is that something you can do, or would you do?
Yeah, I mean it's really an interesting application. We've only done it at a very light level, or where we've built the ideation system actually into a very formal structure. But I really like that, being able to crowdsource the feedback. There is certainly some features that we have within our existing stable where we could, put them together and facilitate that.
And then it goes to, yeah, Flavio's perspective. What he was sharing is exactly what gave that thought process is having to have somebody answer back every suggestion that comes in. And some of those you have to kind of screen what's being suggested, like tell the president to take a flying leap off the top of the building. But the idea is that just through the crowdsourcing and the publication of that idea and the feedback that it receives almost provides the answer as to whether it's going to take off or not. And
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
in all honesty, if it really rises to the top and you implement it, you probably have a pretty good idea what the adoption would be look like in the organization as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, if you're interested in that one, I am happy to connect you with some people who do that already. Like I say, you have got a platform on the front end that I'm absolutely loving because you've got an open channel on the back end on how you can do this, which I like very, very much. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
let's go to the
N-
next. Oops, I'm
Next,
sorry.
next one, please. Next slide.
Yeah, there we go. Oh yes.
Yeah, COVID had made history in human life. So, yeah, this is a model that helps the company engage or connect with employees in order for them to do their pre-screening before going to the facility or to the office. So after doing the pre-screening, you basically get a red channel or a green channel. If you get a green channel, you can go to work and it integrates to the protocol of the company. And if you get a red channel, you basically are not allowed to go to your office or to your facility. So it reduces a lot of time, paper, of the organization. That was a key thing when COVID started in 2020.
Yeah,
And now the protocol have changed, but this give us the idea of how a module like this can have an impact on all the logistic of moving people from their houses to the organization, having a real time information regarding if they can go to work or not.
yeah,
And
and there's a lot of tracking that goes with this. So are
yes,
you tracking
exactly.
that within your app? In other words, you can provide the administrative perspective of who's
You,
here, who's not here, all that kind of stuff.
you you basically what you're tracking, for example, here, if information like who's got vaccinated or not, and if he's vaccinated, that person is vaccinated, if he has their first shot, their second shot, and their booster, and also information regarding protocols if they get COVID or not, and who to call and what to do, and a lot of information regarding that.
Yeah,
So it's a way of tracking employee safety, but it's also a way that connects with the health and safety module, where you can get all the information, not only regarding COVID, but also regarding safety and health specifically in a facility.
and for Karen, I'll mention from a marketing standpoint, I would change right now. COVID-19 grabs people's attention. But I would think in the long run, you may want to call this the pandemic updates and just leave it at that,
Yes,
because this may not be the
yes,
last time we're going to get something like this. So I
yes,
keep
yes,
saying when get a new HR system, you definitely want to be prepared for pandemics. It's the next biggie.
yeah.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Okay.
All righty.
Next one, please.
Yep.
Move to the next one. To the next one,
Oh,
please,
okay.
because that's
Sure.
regarding how many.
Groups.
We got to a point that we were doing 300,000 pre-screens per day, and
Oh,
so that was very important on that time. The staff zone, this is basically a model where you can share information about, birthdays, peer-to-peer recognition, information about the company, photo galleries about events, competitors, survey. Everything is like being a LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, no? If you compare with applications that everybody has. And but the information here is about the company. Okay. And one of the important things here is that before the information is published, if I want to post something, it goes, the company can leave that open, or they can have like a committee where they can review what everybody wants to post. So you basically post those specific things that you know is going to be interesting for everybody, and you don't load about a lot of information in that mode. Okay.
yeah. There's a new position, I will call it, for lack of a better word, called the content management officer in companies,
Yeah.
where that concept of policy, appropriateness, legality, compliance, all those
Mhm.
things come to bear on the stuff that is manufactured and developed within an organization that is then posted on websites, internal, on apps like this, and so on and so forth. So yeah, but this is nice because this is what that adjunct of the community situation. I could set up a community for my
Yeah.
team. I could do it for
Yes.
people of interest, communities of interest, whatever. Very nice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Next one, please.
My favorite subject.
Yeah, this is the last one because the next slides are basically customer testimonials. So at the end, what we have is a dashboard where you can, if you have all the modules, basically you can see all the interaction between the employee and the company. If you have only a few of them, exactly the same. So some of the customers, Peter has said that this is like a one-stop solution because you have a lot of different solutions that are in the market, but you can have them all in one place in their phones,
Mhm.
and you can have them in one place in one dashboard. Besides of having different dashboards that are controlling different applications or different solutions. So one of the things that I basically like about this is that with one dashboard you have all the analysis, all the analytics, all the information of how you are interacting with your employee. And again, this is, let's say, the critical point of all the strategy that I share with you at the beginning of the presentation, where first we connect with employee, then we start communicating with them, and then we start looking how to engage with them. With these analytics, you basically understand if your engagement strategy are working or not, if you have to shift left or you right, or do something different. But again, if that between communication and engagement, if that is having a positive impact or not.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I will say so. Well, I guess, and as you said, this was the last slide here, Flavio. So, do you have any parting words? Because I have a couple of things I want to bring to the table in terms of very quickly wrapping this up. But anything that you or
Uh,
Karen want to say?
Karen, you want to add something?
No, not at this stage. Happy to answer your questions now.
Okay. Well, needless to say, so I will say it this way. Everything I have seen about this really starts to answer some very large questions that I believe, again, what I'm looking at is you are creating an entree for the employee, and actually, in all honesty, anybody in a company to get to the information necessary to do their job, to connect with their fellow employees or others in there, connect with their management, know what the company's doing, and gets my, if you will, administrative work done so I can concentrate on the work. And
Mhm.
and really you're doing all the things that HR would love to have in a self-service situation, but in one place. I love it. That what you are doing is you're bringing the capabilities from the back end to a one single entree point. And I think as you keep going, I think that, I keep calling you a portal for nothing, lack of a better designation, but you are. You truly are my first place and my last place at the end of the day. And I think that to me is exactly how I would position this. And I would say that, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to blast this back out to the TRC and say, guys, you missed an excellent presentation, which answers probably a lot of questions. What you said at the end here, Flavio, about the analytics and reporting, I've got dashboards up the wazoo based on all the systems I have, but not a whole lot is bringing it together in one place, and sure not on my phone. And so that's a huge plus. If you can be the gatherer of data and the entree and the exit point for people coming and going out of the company, phenomenal place. I think you guys have done a marvelous job of positioning this product. I think it's got a lot of traction that it still could do, but I think it's a great start. And the fact that you've got good penetration already says that there's a lot of people out there. You said 1 million users roughly. That's pretty doggone good. So that's it for me. Cindy, I saw that you joined us. Is there anything out there that we haven't answered for you? She's still with us. I'm just going to take a quick look here. She is, yes. Okay, well, I'll let it go. All right. Well, Karen and Flavia, please, thank you for a wonderful session. I will end the recording about now, and I will say that we will probably bring you back the next time you have an update or a big release.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time.